White man, white woman, black man, black woman. On the rungs. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we're holding on to the last rung. Mm-hmm. And those, see these? Mm-hmm. This are being trampled on by all those three above. And still we hold on. Okay? That's our strength. That's the reason we survive. Because we will not let go of that rung.
Mm. Wow. Okay. I get that. I could cry.
I know.
I
because
get it.
It's true.
I get it.
It's absolutely.
Hello, folks. The clip that you just saw was from an interview Cicely Tyson did on her 91st birthday, and she's talking about the ladder, which she calls is the ladder of injustice or racism, and she describes the rungs of the ladder and the people that are on them. And she says at the top is white men, second on the rung is white women, third on the rung is black men, and last is black women. And she says how black women have to hold on to that last rung for dear life, and that's what makes them strong. What she doesn't really say is that for black women to progress, who does she have to climb over? She got to climb over black men, because who she's chasing? She's chasing white women. And that brings us to what our topic is today. Recently, I saw, I'm a subscriber of SandMan, and I saw when he did his video on Swirling sisters, and I didn't think much of it. He wasn't overly brash about it. Even the man that requested the video and paid for the video wasn't too brash about it, because I've heard worse. But what I was shocked about is that the Swirling sister herself, Swirling queen herself, Christelyn did a response video. And after listening to it, I wasn't going to make a response to her response, but I started hearing things that she said, and I said, oh, this is just too good. I could not pass this up. I just can't pass this up. But to give a disclaimer, a lot of things I agree with Christelyn, what she says. She gets kind of harsh on black men, and she makes up a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of things that I do agree with her. And as far as Swirling is concerned, I think she should take as many black women that want to swirl as possible. It's best to clear them out and clear them out of the community and take them on away to where they can be happy, because they're not going to do anything but make black men miserable. That's my take on Swirling. But her video was about 15 minutes long, and I could not figure out how to just slice off the good parts. So I'm going to take it segment by segment, and I'm going to respond to it. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but be warned. So here we go. We're going to start with the first part, talking about swirling black women.
All of these suppositions that this man, who has obviously gotten his information secondhand, is giving about black women, that honestly sounds like a lot of propaganda that's being given to him by, frankly, black men who make it a career trashing black women, and who are gleeful at the notion of black women's names and images being dragged for filth. Like they actually get excited, tingly inside when black women are dragged for filth. You can see in the comment section of SandMan's video all of the black men who are high-fiving, who are giving their co-signing and their reasons for why they can't stand black women, as if we're all the same. And on a side note, shame on you, black men, because honestly, you look the fool. You really do look the fool, because no man is going to respect another man trashing his women. They just don't. They're not going to, they have no respect for you. They may be laughing. You may think that they're laughing with you. They're laughing at you. So you go on and continue to drag our names for filth, and tell everyone who will listen that women won't let you be men. And the fact of the matter is that you are really making yourself look the fool.
I guess we can start at the beginning. If she doesn't know much about Sandman, and he basically says it at the beginning of his video, the person that gave him the information is the anonymous donor, which is probably a black man, to actually have him speak on it. So at the beginning of the video, of Sandman's video, is not Sandman's interpretation of black women. It's his donor's interpretation of black women. So it's not some bad information. It's the donor's direct experience about what he sees, and his observation being a black man in America, and the gender dynamic. Like, but he does touch on a lot of common themes and the common complaints that black men have about black women. And his observations about black women swirling is something that has been repeated on a number of occasions by many different men. And the fact that you're stuttering and tap dancing because you're basically going up against a white man pretty much says what he's saying is accurate. But that being said, when she says that black men that are high-fiving in the comments section of a MGTOW video look like they're a fool because you're trashing black women. Now, that was hilarious to me, because if anybody knows anything about MGTOW, when they get going, they will trash all women, white, black, green, yellow, whatever. So for a black man to trash black women and look the fool and be laughed at is hilarious on its face in a MGTOW video. So she's trying to shame black men for agreeing with something in a MGTOW video is hilarious. I would tell Ms. Carrison she needs to learn more about MGTOWs. Oh, and by the way, shame on you, black men.
And I'm not talking about all black men. I'm talking about, men who have this victim mentality that black women are somehow so matriarchal that they won't allow them to be men. When the fact of the matter is that many of us are feminine, well-spoken, intelligent, who allow men. First of all, you can't allow a man to be a man. A man is going to be a man, but will follow a man who displays competency. Now, that's the difference between a lot of the powerless men that I see in that corner of the He-Man Woman Haters crew over there on YouTube. They don't display competency, but they want all the benefits of men who do. And that's where the problem that we have. But the reason why I felt like I needed to address this personally is because I do have a large platform when it comes to black women dating interracially. I wrote a book called Swirling, How to Date, Mate, and Relate, Mixing Race, Culture, and Creed. If you key in that word in Google, my name comes up. So I felt that I needed to address this personally to Sandman, to try to disabuse him of the notion that black women are somehow turning to white men after they've been run through by thugs, because that right now is the narrative that you're hearing a lot from black men, is that black women are, they want thugs, and once the thugs have had their best years, their best reproductive and height of beauty years, then they'll go for the fallback. And I can tell you right now that I have to acknowledge the fact that there are some, there's a segment of black women who do like thugs. They're intrigued by them. It is the black community's version of the alpha male. They often go towards these men because they feel like they can offer some type of protection. They're often seen as the leaders of the community, so the kings of the dung heap. Obviously, that's wrong thinking. But what you're failing to realize, and and it displays that you have zero knowledge about Black women and nuance, and that you just look at us as all the same, is that there is a huge segment of Black women who are educated, who are beautiful, who are traditional, who want to have a traditional lifestyle with a mate where, the woman is a woman and a mother, and the husband falls into that role. This is very much a need for a lot of Black women. But what is happening is that women like me are being tossed to the side.
Now, am I mistaken or am I crazy? Didn't she just say in her last segment that Black men should be ashamed for dragging their women's name down into the mud and basically throwing them under the bus? And guess what she did? Guess what she just did? She just dragged Black men's name down and threw them under the bus. And she had the nerve to try to shame Black men for doing it in the comment section. That's funny. So those very guys that you just talked about, that you tried to shame for high-fiving in the comment section, you just threw them under the bus and called them incompetent. You are hilarious. You are hilarious. That is hilarious. Now, as far as Black women liking thugs, everybody knows that Black women like thugs when in their youth, especially in their youth. But what she's failing to realize is that white women have the same counterpart. The white community has the same counterpart. They call them not only alpha males, but bad boys. Why do you think MGTOW exists? If it was perfectly well situated in the white community, do you think there will be white MGTOWs? Most of the MGTOWs are white because they're being treated the same way by their own women. And their own women are doing the same thing to them that Black women are doing to Black men. So they understand. Why do you think there's a MGTOW community with Black men and white men? Come on now. You can't, like I said, you can't make this shit up. She's trying to sell traditionalism to a MGTOW community. If that don't beat all, do you understand what you're doing? Are you talking to the right guy? The white men in the MGTOW community do not have the desire to be the average beta chump for Black women. You're trying to sell yourself and the group that you're with as a better alternative to the white women that they're dealing with. We'll treat the beta males better than the white women treat their beta males, while we throw our beta males under the bus. Hilarious. Like I said, this is rich. You can't make this stuff up.
We are often, when it comes to Black men, we are often looked over. I was one of them. When I was single, I mean, obviously I don't consider myself an ugly woman, but, I was passed over for someone who was lighter skinned, had, longer, curlier, softer hair or whatever. Those were the women who I saw getting married. But women like me who are pushed off to the side by Black men who just think that we're just regular and they're going for the exotic. They're threatened, even though they really don't want us, they're actually threatened by us trying to find men who do. Now, it's obvious, SandMan, that you and your fan base are not attracted to Black women, and that's okay. But just like you have your little segment, there are lots of other men, and not just white, but men of all races who can appreciate a woman like me. And that's why my YouTube channel exists. That's why Beyond Black and White exists. That's why I wrote Swirling, because there's a huge segment of Black women who are being virtually ignored and cast to the side as if we don't exist, or we're just put on the shelf. You just wait until I've run through all these hoes over here, and then I'll come at you. We're sitting over there on the shelf.
Now, which guys are passing you over? Is it the thugs or the bad boys or the so-called alpha males of the Black communities? Or is it the incompetent Black men in that segment that can't get their act together. Which is it? Who's passing you over? Are you smart, beautiful, capable black women that are worthy of marriage? Are you the poor black damsels in distress that the incompetent, foolish black men are just putting on the shelf and you're wasting away, waiting for your white knights in shining armor to swoop down and rescue you from these black beastly men that don't know how to appreciate a woman? Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Which is it, Chris? By the way, do you notice the voice that she's using? The kind of apologetic voice that she's using. Now, if she was talking to black men, she'd be on fleek. She'd be hard charging and ball busting. But you notice how her tone changes when she has to address a white man, even on YouTube. Just peep that game.
We are not the Boomquishas and the LaQuishas and all these. We are quality black women who are looking for men who share our values. It is clear based on the statistics. We have a 73% out of wedlock rate that I know a lot of the black men who are watching this channel totally blame black women for. We have abysmal marriage rates. We have low marriage rates, high divorce rates. And so when you're a traditional woman, which I'm a traditional woman who wanted to be with a guy who shared those values, I had to look beyond the community because there's a lot of messed up stuff that is happening in the black community. There's a lot of skewed values that are going on. And if you want to have that chance to find somebody who's of quality, you're going to have to open up your horizons. You're going to have to expand your dating pool.
Translation for all you MGTOWs, what she's saying is that things are fucked up in the black community. Black women, men and women have an equal share in it on both sides. And what we need is for you white men to do is come and get us black NAWALTs up out of this black community so that we can be happy. So for all you beta men of means, please apply because we have a supply of quote unquote NAWALTs, because not all black women are like that, for you to come up and that we can actually make you happy. This commercial has been brought to you by the Swirling Sisterhood community. Unbelievable. Sounds like a commercial.
Now, this isn't about black women being opportunists and trying to find, white men because white men treat white women so good. The fact of the matter is that black women want to be treated nicely. We want to be treated like women. We want to have realistic expectations put upon us as opposed to unrealistic expectations. And when I say realistic expectations, I mean like, if you want a traditional woman who stays home and takes care of the kids and cooks and cleans, then you can't expect her to be working 10 hours a day and then have her come home and do all of that stuff while you sit and play video games and pat the kids on the head and get up at 3 a.m. and want to get your penis serviced. Realistic expectations. We want to be women just like women of other races want to be women. There are those of us who are feminine, who enjoy their femininity and want to be appreciated for it. And they don't want to feel like they have to struggle all the time. They want to fall back on somebody that they can rely on, that displays competency, not somebody that you give and submit to simply because they have a phallus. And that's what we've always been. I've always said that it doesn't matter what color the man is, that if you're a traditional woman and you want to experience the fullness of your femininity, you have to be with a man who is capable and is responsible and displays competency. Otherwise, you are surrendering to a man who's going to drive you off a cliff.
Oh, come on, Chris. Don't backslide on me now. That's exactly what you're saying. Translation, black women are being opportunists because we want to be treated like white men because we think that white men treat white women so much better. That's why you're going over there and expanding your dating pool to be with white men, because you want to be treated like what? Like white women. And you want to get away from them incompetent brothers that supposedly passed you over and put you on the shelf. I'm not saying she's a bed wench, but that was some bed wench shit right there. Come on, Chris, you can do better. Hilarious.
The fact of the matter is that there's a lot of men who are ill prepared for marriage. There's a lot of black men who are ill prepared for marriage. There are a lot of men in the men go their own way sector who probably should have never been with any woman, regardless of her race. But I cannot stand and sit and listen to this misinformation to continue. It just isn't fair. There are so many black women who are educated, who are brilliant, who are smart, who are sweet, who are beautiful, who are being left by the wayside. And they're just, and even if they're not, okay, say, black men want them. There's not enough of them. I don't understand, this question I think is more for the black men. What do you want black women to do? Do you just don't want us to have anybody? Like, I've never in my whole life seen a group of men who want to see their women miserable and hate them so much as I've seen with black men. It's displayed on YouTube. Like, truly gleeful when other races put their women down. There is absolute zero respect. And so when you have a group of women who are blamed for everything, who have unrealistic expectations, who are not allowed to experience the fullness of their femininity, we're going to look elsewhere. And you know what, Sandman, it's perfectly okay if you don't find women like me attractive. And Sandman, your followers, it's perfectly okay that your followers don't find women like me attractive. Because guess what? There's still a ton of men who do.
I knew it was going to happen. You just knew it was going to happen. She just pulled out that 1970 playbook all over again about how there's all these black women are attractive or smart, educated, sweet, feminine, yada, 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 yada. And the only problem is because you have these incompetent black men that aren't ready for marriage and they need to go out elsewhere. Now, after appealing to SandMan's sensibilities, he just threw him and his followers up under the bus, saying that they probably shouldn't be involved with any women, regardless of color. And then right after that, she goes back into the poor little me situation, is that Sandman and his followers don't find them attractive, or may not find them attractive, which if you listen to the video and you read the comment section, nobody said anything about black women not being attractive. In fact, Sandman said he dated a couple of them and he gave reasons why it didn't work for him. It had nothing to do with their attractiveness. In fact, he said they were nice to him. He just mentioned because of his color, there was issues with his family. And he figures that those issues with racism, and prejudice exist in a lot of white families. And that's probably why white men don't date or marry a lot of black women, which is a valid point. Nowhere in that video or even in the comments section did any of the men say that they found Christelyn or their followers unattractive. In fact, I've known a lot of MGTOWs and a lot of IBMORs that find Christelyn attractive. It's not her looks that they don't like, that they disagree with. But that's just typical of black women. That's just that old 1970s trope that we've heard for the last 40 years. Woe is me. We're fabulous and fantastic and beautiful, and these black men can't get it together, so we need to go look elsewhere. Blah, 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 blah. It's never their fault. Now, she did ask a very valid question that I want to address. She asked towards black men, what do black men want women like her to do? We want what we've always wanted. We want you to shut up and be happy. You could end the gender war, well, amongst black men and women tomorrow. And I do mean tomorrow, if you would just shut up and go be happy. If you can find white men that will accept you and marry you and make you happy, by all means, I would gather that the majority of black men would be on board for that. What black women fail to realize is that the black women bashing is a response. It's not initiated. It's a response to the stuff that's coming at us. If we're incompetent and we don't have our act together or can't get our act together, ain't no black man in the world is going to go after you for going to a man that's going to do for you. If he can't, as a man, he's not going to do that. But the thing is, if that's what you're going to do it. Shut up and be happy. If you look at the TV show Scandal, black men don't particularly like it. But the thing is, you don't see black men in front of ABC protesting about Scandal. We want what you want. We want you to go be happy and leave. If you got to leave us alone, leave us alone. We don't want to be nagged every 5 seconds about us being incompetent and not giving having our shit together, and you abusing us verbally. Stop it. Go be happy. That's what we want.
And despite all of the mess, despite all of the negativity and the name calling and the lies being told, particularly the lie that a particular person whom you quoted that said black women would rather be a white man's whore than a black man's wife, we still rise. And there are smart men out there who are critically thinking, who will look at this video and say, you know what? Yeah, maybe I need to not be a sheep, a lamb, and, listen to the pablum that's being fed to me. Maybe I need to re-examine the notions and the lies and all of the negativity being brought towards this woman and the energy that is being directed towards keeping this woman punished, because we have a lot of men who really want black women punished. They don't want them happy. There are men in this sector of men go their own way who are black, who regularly say they would be happy if every single black woman were killed. They hate them. And for all of these men who feel this way, and for the white men who feel that way, who are, part of this group, we still rise. We'll still rise, because nothing can take away from the person who I am and the women who are like me and who they are. And there's going to be men who are quality men of all races who are going to see that, and they're going to want it. So you go ahead and you join in the lie. You go ahead and be the sidekick or the cheerleader for Black Men Hate Sandman. You go ahead and do that, but understand that we'll still rise, because we've been doing it for hundreds of years, and we'll continue to do it. All right, guys, that's all I got to say about it. If you guys want to reach out to me, I'm at Christelyn, Christelyn.
Now, to be fair, there is a segment of MGTOW that wants a collapse, and so that the women will be punished, even though they're a very small segment, because they want to hit back at women that have done them wrong. So there is that. To be fair, those men are out there in the MGTOW community, and they're well known. Everybody knows about them. The second thing is that she quoted David Carroll that said that a black woman would rather be a white man's whore than a black man's wife. What she doesn't know, probably what she should know, is that David Carroll was paraphrasing a quote by Cola Booth, who married a white Jewish man. Now, Cola Booth is a black African, and her quote was, she'd rather be a white man's whore than the gum on the bottom of a black man's shoe. That was her quote, while she was marrying a white man and she was leaving the black community. Now, as far as the negativity that goes on YouTube and goes back and forth between black men and women, I don't see Christelyn putting away her guns and asking for a ceasefire. Black men are perfectly fine with you promoting interracial dating. There's a lot of black men on both on YouTube channels, MGTOWs and whatnot, that promote interracial dating. So we'd be hypocrites if we spoke against it. There are people that are for and against it on both sides, men and women. But for the most part, MGTOW don't particularly care. That being said, it would be better that you would stop trashing black men to promote your site, talking about black men and how bad we are so that you can get more followers to actually go out and swirl. Everybody in the world knows there is more resources on the white side of the equation. Yet there's no reason to stab black men in the back and throw us under the bus to get your point across. Stop acting so butthurt and offended when the same thing that you sling at black men gets slung back at you. The donor that asked for this topic was merely asking SandMan's opinion on what he thought about interracial dating and swirling black women. Everybody knows the statistics about black women in the black community. It's nothing new. Anybody that picks up a paper, looks at Fox News, can figure that out. The only people promoting a bad black image about black women are black women. You pick up any paper and look at the statistics, you'll readily figure that out. There's no way that virtually powerless black men can hold down and force black women to do anything. In fact, it's very hard for white men that interact with black women to force black women to do anything. So stop acting like you're the powerless, shrinking violets that we know that you're not. Anyway, folks, that's all I got to say. Normally I wouldn't do this, but this was just too rich. Go on, Chris. Go on with your bad self. You and your swirling sisters. Go ahead and climb that ladder. Go ahead and step up over us and chase that white woman and knock her out of second place. You go, girl. This is just too funny.